one of the things is implementation, from innovation to implementation, or bench to bedside, whatever you call it. Do you guys see this happening more easily with WINs, and if so, how? Or with WIN?
I think the logistics of putting a clinical trial together where a patient may be put on one of dozens of different drugs, depending on what we find when we interrogate his or her tumor, is still one of the big challenges. We're hearing about it at this meeting in Washington here. WIN is pioneering this. Others are too. We're going to have to work this out. It's going to involve different relationships with the regulatory agencies. It's going to involve different relationships with pharmaceutical companies, because the trial may involve 10 different companies.
The implementation, how do you do implementation?
Well, they've established a mechanism with a pilot trial called WINTHER, which is going to be run at 4 major institutions, and utilizing existing clinical trials networks with drugs that are already in the clinic at those institutions, but by tying them together, utilizing a single testing platform done centrally in Paris at the IGR, it provides an important infrastructure to running these sort of trials. And it's not the kind of thing that a single pharmaceutical company can typically do. They've got a drug, they want to test that in a population, and this is much broader than that.
And at the practical level, what happens?
At the practical level, at these 4 institutions, which will probably expand to 6 institutions, clinicians will be seeing patients in their clinics, and they will know about this trial. And if a patient is on standard therapy that's working, they won't be bothered. But unfortunately, about 1/3 of cancer patients die within 5 years of the diagnosis. And for those patients, which is hundreds of thousands of people, there comes a point where if further therapy is going to be given, it'll have to be experimental therapy or giving drugs in new ways. And they'll be offered this at their institution. And if the patient accepts, then a specimen of their tumor will be sent to the central laboratory so that we have a uniform way of diagnosing what's wrong genetically in the tumor, and then we'll move from there.
I know there's the Paris Symposium, the WIN 2013 symposium coming up. How do people get involved with WIN? How do you join this new organization that helps you to fulfill your goals of getting personalized medicine?
It's voluntary, and some people come to the symposium that are not members of WIN. They come to learn, each of them have their own special interest in this project of trying to figure out how to more efficiently and effectively take this knowledge base and bring it to the patient. But some groups, and we're encouraged that a number of groups that are not traditionally joining things like this, that quite haven't signed, so I can't name them. We're going to have a broad representation of stakeholders that I think see this as an outlet that they'd like to join and support.
Okay, organizations like ASCO have a mission, industries like Pfizer have a mission. What do you see as the mission of WIN?
I think to a great extent the mission of WIN is to deliver innovative, personalized cancer care globally, through bringing together diverse organizations, diverse populations, and initially we have to learn how to do this in a global setting. And so, the WINTHER trial, which is the first clinical trial that we'll launch, is written as a research study. Like any other research study, there's a very detailed protocol that specifies what patients are eligible and how therapy will be selected and what the outcomes of treatment are that we're monitoring and so on. But every step in that protocol is essentially a proof of concept that we can actually deliver on the promise of personalized care in a multi-center, a multi-country setting.
And of course a multi-sector setting as well, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yes, yes, it
Because
is.
there are multiple jurisdictions in the world here from a regulatory point of view, which is also not a trivial issue. So we've got, of course, countries in Europe, countries in the US, countries outside of Europe, Israel and so on, and Canada, and they all have their own regulatory authorities. So again, part of the proof of concept of the WINTHER trial is that one can actually do a global clinical trial of this sort in multiple parts of the world.
Yeah, I think one of the other issues is that the WIN and WINTHER provide the opportunity in a collective fashion to gather data. What's happening now is many, if not most, academic institutions have the ability to genotype patient tumors or to participate in selective trials, but you wind up collecting more or less anecdotal evidence, one patient treated with this, one patient with that, and across multiple disease areas. It's hard to interpret that sort of message. So the concept that's being advanced here is collecting the data in a more formal way through a clinical trial with the kind of network that can address molecular abnormalities that are occurring at 1 or 2% or even less of an incidence rates. And that's a very important pilot project to advance the concept that it's more the target than perhaps the disease area, which has been the way that conventional chemotherapy has been delivered for quite a while now.